I mean, the data is in, right? I mean, it's that Medicaid has been expanded in many states for a long time. It is not saving rural hospitals, right? It's not doing what they said. The fraud is over 132 billion, according to CMS.
A couple of weeks ago, I flew to Phoenix. It wasn't last week, it was 2 weeks ago. And I was at the American Legislative Exchange Council Annual Policy Summit. Ty Masterson was as well. He is the state Senate president of Kansas. He joined me then, and he's here now to cap for me. I got out of town, Ty. I know it's basketball season in Kansas. I'm surprised you have anything to say other than basketball. But what happened at ALEC? What did you guys wrap up with? What's the agenda for 2024?
Well, hey, thanks for having me on, Hugh. It was a great event. That's our biggest kind of fall event we've ever had. That's a great opportunity to educate, legislators all over the country. Our big three, we're still trying to empower parents with educational choice, still working on taxes, particularly a single rate or flat tax versus the progressive tax to the left. And we're still, particularly in Kansas, because we're one of the 10 states that haven't yet expanded Medicaid. We're still battling that.
I didn't know that. We're down to 10. And as someone who has been following this forever, the push from the left-wing media for Medicaid expansion, they always talk about the availability of insurance. They never talk about the delivery of medicine. So do you think you'll hold the line in Kansas?
I 100% believe we'll hold the line in Kansas. I mean, the data is in, right? I mean, it's that Medicaid has been expanded in many states for a long time. It is not saving rural hospitals. Right. It's not doing what they said. The fraud is over 132 billion, according to CMS. Right. You're having emergency room usage is not going down. It's going the other direction. So there's a lot of data behind us. Now, they'll point to data and say this certain population. Right. This is expanding Medicaid, welfare to able-bodied adults between 19 and 64. People think this is expanding to the disabled. Right. And the low-income pregnant women. They're the ones being displaced by Medicaid expansion. So they want to point to, well, they're getting a little better outcome potentially over here. But as you know, you got to look at the whole picture. You're displacing the population it was actually meant for. And that for us in Kansas in particular is more important.
Senate President Masterson, I sat on a commission for 17 years in California called the Prop 10 Commission, public commission. We gave away a lot of money to serve children age 0 to 5 to make them healthy and ready to learn. And I studied Medicaid. And you can give people pieces of paper that say they're insured, but if there are no pediatric dentists, there's nowhere to go. Or if they won't take the appointment, there's nowhere to go. In Maine, where I was this summer, they just don't have doctors. It's the craziest pretend that we're involved in. And I'm glad you're shouting it from the rooftops. Who are the other 9 states that I should applaud?
Yeah, it's an absolute finite number of doctors that'll accept Medicaid. You're absolutely right. I mean, you should be educating me and the others as well. You know better than we do. It is, and the probability of the population on the lower end, the actual disabled, the actual qualified, it lowers their probability of finding a doctor.
Amen. Now, let's talk a little bit about the expanding school choice, because I've got Speaker Johnson on tomorrow. I'm going to ask him if they won't put some stuff in the supplemental about this. And I saw Governor DeSantis yesterday saying, and I'm in Switzerland, I hope they all say it, his first budget would require all states to offer school choice. We had big breakthroughs this year. Anyone else on the tipping point coming next year on school choice?
There's a few, but yeah, as you pointed out, it was a big year last year. 10 states went. 10 states provided choices for parents in education last year. A few more will take a try. We will try. I'm not overly optimistic in Kansas because our Democrat governor it's her number one issue is against the school choice. So we'd have to override vetoes, and we're right on the margins, and 1 or 2 votes makes a difference. But we will be one of those states to try yet again, and hopefully we'll get there.
You know what I can't understand is that Texas won't adopt school choice. Now, I know Governor Greg is going out there and trying to beat the Republicans who block it. I do think it's an 80-20 issue, Senator. Do you agree with me? I mean, everyone, even kids with parents with no one in school anymore, they still want school choice for the next generation of parents.
I mean, that's one thing COVID did for us. It exposed a real need there. And that's a bipartisan issue. Now, obviously more conservatives, more Republicans are in favor. But you go to the inner cities and you see these deep blue cities. Those are the ones that need choice. Quite frankly, wealthy people have choice, right? They can go spend the money on a private school. the choice we're trying to bring that to the low income mother, right? To those kids to have the ability to have a choice in education. And yes, I think you're absolutely right. 80-10 or not, it is definitely a strong majority.
Last question, taxes. I'm in Virginia. I'm a Virginian. We have a 5.3 highest rate. That's 5.3% higher than Tennessee. I kind of wish the Beltway was in Tennessee so I could live there, but I got to live in the Beltway. At least I got out of California. Who's lowering taxes this year?
Let's see, this year, I'm trying to think of the state. It was at least five more that went. I think it was Georgia, Mississippi, Idaho, Arizona. I'm going to forget somebody. We took an attempt at it, missed it by one vote on a veto override. One vote short in one chamber of a supermajority override. We had a couple members, for political reasons, make a shift in the end, and we lost it by one vote. But that's such a key issue, getting that flat tax. Just to show you the difference in ideology, the day we brought our single rate flat tax into Kansas, the Democrats bought a new 5-tier topping out at 9% state income tax as their position. And I'm thinking, why would we be chasing California or New York? We actually want people to come here, not go away.
I mean, when you talk to your colleagues across the aisle, do they not see everyone moving to Tennessee and Florida? They're doing that for one reason. There is no income tax.
I don't know how it looks. I don't know if they're pretend to be blind. I mean, you have to have your blinders on not to see people are moving out of California, which is probably one of the most beautiful states in the world, right? I mean, in our country, definitely, especially Southern California, they have everything: mountains, beaches, weather, you name it, right? And people are leaving. You have to be abusive at a government level for more people to leave that state than come. And New York is going on the same thing, and they're going to Texas and Florida and Tennessee. I do not see how people are so blind to that issue.
Senator, I lived in California from 1989 to 2015, and I married a Californian, but we left because it's just completely broken. And I don't know that there are any Republicans left in the state legislature. Are there any Republicans in ALEC anymore, the American Legislative Exchange Council? I know Democrats are welcome, but do any of them go in harm's way of a good idea?
Not very many, but I have to tell you, Kansas, we were bipartisan delegation in the last two. Last two meetings, we have the majority leader in the House had joined us and was coming to ALEC. And I'd love to see as many come and really experience it for themselves, because it truly is a nonpartisan, tied to the issues organization that's affecting and giving opportunity to learn. So I'd love to see more Democrats come.
I want to emphasize that the American Legislative Exchange Council is not Republican. It's not Democrat. It's just smart. And that's what I like about it. It's also a lot of fun. You guys are actually having fun there in Phoenix. Too much fun
when you come. We appreciate your presence.
Next year in Phoenix. Well, I don't know where you're going next year, but doing this show from 3 to 6 in the morning, I had trouble getting actually it was 4 to 7. I had trouble getting the guests up early because you guys stayed out late at night. I'm sure you were talking about school reform, Senator.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you were. Thank you, Senator. Merry Christmas to you. And go Kansas Jayhawks or whatever it is you call your I do not follow college basketball. I just don't, because it's now one and done, and it's really professional. Is Senator still there? Can we bring him back? I have a question for him. Senator, I got a question for you. Now that we have name, image, and likeness laws, and we are basically paying college athletes, shouldn't their salaries be as public as anybody else's?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, if you're compensating, absolutely, it should be public. I mean, it's going to change the game. It is changing the game, right? And now we have different opinion whether it's changing it for the better or worse, but it absolutely should be transparent.
You see that it is changing the game. It's happening. It's there. I know a lot of people think these kids ought to be paid, and that's great. But I want to know, how much money are they getting paid? Because I think Americans would be stunned to find out how much of their state budget or their dollars that would otherwise go into endowments are going to athletes. And I don't know, in Kansas, has it rolled over Kansas yet?
It's starting here. The big team, like KU basketball, it's a big deal, right? It's happening. And you don't know. I mean, you're assuming it's donors and foundations, but they're, money's fungible in state institutions. So you want to know what's going on.
I hope you bring that bill at ALEC next year. Let's just make it plain to everyone that when Ohio State loses a recruit, it's only because they bought him in Florida. That happened to us this week. Miami bought one of the Ohio State players, so I'm a little bitter, just a bit bitter. Yeah. Thank you, Senator. Be well. Merry Christmas to you.